Hello everyone, hope you've had a good week so far. This video is going to go over some of the basics of software testing, what types and why, things like that, as well as some basic instruction on JUnit and how it works. I've also included links to tutorials that will help you use JUnit in whatever IDE you're using. First of all, let's go over the types of software testing that are used when creating any application or program out there. There are four specific ones, namely unit tests, integration tests, system tests, and user tests. Unit and integration tests are the ones that we as students will probably focus on more because they're the ones that are controlled by the programmer. Unit tests are the most basic of the tests, but also take the most time. These tests focus on smaller portions of the whole application, such as a method or a class. This allows you to find the problems at the very beginning in the little things like if arrays are functioning, that values are the same, booleans are true, etc. When you code these tests, you need to remember that you are looking at all the pieces of the puzzle individually. So when you write the code for unit testing, you're not just looking to see if the class works as a whole, but that all the methods inside are functioning on their own as well. With integration tests, you're starting to put together parts of the puzzle that fit together, kind of like all the water or tree pieces in a jigsaw puzzle. Here you can start combining method tests and class tests into test suites that check to see how some of the components work together. Some examples of them would be a module that communicates with the web server, modules that need to access databases, as well as modules that read or write to a disk, basically when you're trying to save the program. Okay, the next one, system and user testing, is something that you do after you've worked out all the little kinks that you see in the code. It's usually done by software testers or another program that checks it for you. This is to pick up any errors that you may have missed in the first two test types. User testing, however, is when you send the program out to be tested by the users, kind of like beta testing when trying out a new game. That way you can get feedback from them, what issues they're having and what struggles they have with the program itself, what issues they have with the interface, things like that. The next one, here we're going to talk about JUnit. How does it fit into all of this? Well, it's the framework on which we build our tests. The best feature about JUnit is that it allows the developer to create separate classes with the test code for each of those original classes that you're trying to test. The testing code is separate from your original classes, so it keeps it uncluttered, and it also keeps you from forgetting about deleting the testing code from those original classes. You just have to get rid of the one package of test classes that you have. Slide, it's the setup. Like I said in the previous slide, you want to make sure that they're separate. So in this example we have here, I've chosen to use main and test as the different folder names for the different packages. So you'd actually want to create two separate packages when you start creating your program, one for your test classes and one for the main or your program. This just keeps it clean and separate. You'll do importing in the specific test classes to check it and see if things are working out. But like I said, it's clean and uncluttered. When you're coding the test code, a general rule is that you name it what you're trying to look for. So with this one, there's an example on the next slide. You'd test if you had a specific class you were looking for. So the example of the name would be multiplication of 0 integers should return 0. It's just easier to see what you're looking for in that specific class. So when you're going back to look at the test code, you can make sure everything's put in correctly. You know which one you're looking at. So it's not like test 1, test 2, things like that. Also in this example, there are a few parts that you'll want to get to know. First, the @ symbol and test It's called an annotation. It uses annotations to mark methods as test methods and to configure them. The assert equals section down below, those methods are appropriately called assert statements. They allow you to specify the error message, the expected, and the actual result. An assertion method compares the actual value returned by a test to the expected value. It throws an assertion exception if the comparison fails. These two next slides that I have coming up are going to give you some examples of the annotations. Slides after that are going to give you examples of assertion methods. So on this first list, it kind of goes over, you've got the annotations on the left, description on the right. The main one that we'll be using is that at test, just because it specifies that we're trying to do a test method in this section. Here's the next list, and I will post this slideshow on our group file folder on Google Drive. That way you guys can take a look at it a little bit longer. Here's the assert statements. Basically, you know, if you've got a Boolean, you got to make sure it's true or false or whatever. It's the assert true, your message inside it of what it's going to return. Same with this page, just checking to see if the object is null, not null. Variables are the same, more commonly with like arrays and things like that. Finally, this slide, I just put in a few tutorial links. I know I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to get to know IntelliJ very quickly. So I've put on some other ones for NetBeans and Eclipse and IntelliJ on how to use JUnit in these. Now JUnit comes automatically, specific ones. If you are having trouble with it though, I've got a few links that I can post on how to integrate JUnit into your IDE. I've also included the article that I used for the list and the screenshot in this video. It taught me a lot about JUnit and testing, but it went too deep, way too deep for me to be able to go over all of it in this video. So I would suggest you taking a look at it if you're running into trouble or just want to know more about it, because it has a lot of great tips with that. But this is my video. You know, if you have any questions, let me know, and have a great day.